All right, so now we have the readout nodes and we have the aim rotation variable, which is a rotator connected to the rotation input pin of all the three different nodes. Okay, now I'll just hit compile and make sure that there are no errors. And I'll also play the game and see that there are no errors out here as well, no runtime errors. Of course, it's not going to do anything because we're not really written any logic for that. It still stays the same, but we have the the base set up, and now we have to work on implementing it. So everything is fine. So I'm just going to hit escape, and sometimes when you hit escape, Blueprint also throws some errors. So I just wanted to make sure that there are none. I'm happy with it. Now I'll go back to my Soldier Atom BP and continue working on this. And the reason it's not doing anything right now because aim rotation is at the moment 000, and that's exactly what we are passing on to every single node. As simple as that. So for for anything to happen to any of these nodes, we have to go back to our event graph, and this is what we had so far. And we also have this sequence node. Okay, so first it goes over to here and it casts it to the character, gets the velocity, and it calculates the direction. Then it goes over to the pin 1, that is then 1, and then again gets casted to a third person character, and then it sets up for the crouching and then for the sprinting. So we have it for speed, direction, the crouching, and the sprinting. So we have to add one more pin, and maybe I'll arrange these a little better. I think I'll just move this guy at least up here, and this readout pin can move out here like this. That's good. And I'll just add one more pin. Okay, and then I'll drag again from here and I'll say cast to third person character again. Okay, and I think I will move all of these to the right like that, so that it matches up with this. And no, actually I'll have to move this as well to the right. Okay, and bring this down a bit so they all match up now. All the casting nodes are matching up really well, and I'll just bring this guy closer. I think that's okay, right? I'm fine with that. Anyway, so just bring this guy a little bit down. There you go. That's good enough. And maybe this guy a little bit down here, further down, and this guy or these guys can come one step down, one more. Great. So it's all neat and tidy, and again this needs to be moved here, and of course this has to be rerouted a little bit because it's not really that good, like this. Okay, so once we have that, again we have this wildcard and we have to say try get pawn owner, like that. Rearrange it to make it look better, and then as third person character we have to look for get control rotation. Okay, so now that we have this, we can use this for directing it towards our aim rotation variable. Okay, so now that we have get control rotation, you can pull out a Y from here and you can look for break rotator so that it breaks the rotator into its individual components, that is X, Y, and Z. That is the roll, pitch, and yaw. Now we have the X covered. We also have the Z, that is the yaw covered, so that's looking around. All we need to work on is the Y. Okay, so we have to perform 3 different operations and I'll explain them as I go. The first thing is I need to have a minus, a float minus float. Okay, and so this can be actually down here. I'll have to add some value later on. So 3 different operations on the pitch, and first is going to be a subtraction, and then it's going to be a multiplication, float minus float multiplied by float. Okay, and the final one would be a division, float divided by float. There you go. Okay, actually it won't be division, so I'm gonna get rid of this. In fact, I'll be checking whether it's greater than. So if float, it's greater than float, and then it needs to come out as a boolean value, and then we'll be checking out this values and all. Okay, and I'll explain as I go. For now, just watch and follow along, and I'll explain why these 3 operations in particular. Okay, so out here for the first one, we're going to give it a value of 360. And for the second one, for the multiplication, we're going to say -1. And for the greater than, I'm going to say 180. Okay, and from here, I'm going to pull out a wire and I'm going to look for select float. Okay, and now I'll just hook up these two like this. So this essentially says that if it is greater than 180, then pick A, else pick B, that is -1. Okay, so whatever the value is coming out from the pitch value, which out here, I mean, whatever the output of this particular node is, it's going to pick accordingly. Okay, so now that we have the return value, which is a float, now we have to divide this by a certain number. So I'll just say, I'll put in the slash and I'll say float by float. Now the number is going to be 3 because we have 3 different bones that we have to work with. So I'll put the number 3 in here. Okay, and now that we have it for individual bones because we're dividing it by 3, now I'll make rotator. Now it's time to make the rotator. Okay, and make the rotator, and there you go. Okay, so now this should make it easier for us to, give this aim rotation a new rotator. So once I do that, I'll just say set rotator, and then I'll just connect, I believe, this to this, and then connect the return value over to the aim rotation out here. Okay, so that's all is needed. So when I click on compile, save,